Well, hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. Welcome to episode 3 of a 9 episode series that we've been doing and are in the first third of. Today, we've got some really, good topics that we want to talk about. Before we dive into that, I introduce our guest presenter. Just a couple housekeeping rules. First of all, my name is Jim Cotney, National Sales Director here at Western Marketing. I want to thank you for taking the time to learn, expand your knowledge, and really invest time into what we believe, Sean and I believe, will help you grow your business. It's not lost on either of us that you aren't out, having appointments, making sales while you're sitting in on this webinar. So thank you very much for that. With that in mind, please remember we are here for you. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to type them in the question box. Sean and I can present from a pulpit all day, any day, but we really want it to be within reason interactive. So if you do have questions about today's topics or other annuity topics, feel free to ask. If it's conducive to this conversation, we'll definitely ask it here on the webinar. If it's not, either myself or somebody on our life and annuity team will follow back up with you. One little last bit before I introduce Sean, we have a handful of you who have already qualified from week 1 to receive a free copy of Sean's book, The 7 Benefits of FIAs or Fixed Indexed Annuities. The reason I'm bringing that up, if you have not done that yet, if you've not gone through the Annuity Resource Center and got your annuity badge, or you haven't forgot to email me, I just need a copy of your certificate and where you want it sent to, and we will send. We've got about 10 or 12 spots left to get, again, a free copy of Sean's book. So with that, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce a friend, a mentor, a colleague, Sean Ruggiero. Sean, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate the support, the friendship, and have enjoyed working with you and everybody at Western. In regards to that, what we're talking about with the video series, just for in case someone has missed that or needs a refresher. I'm at Western's website here. I'm going to click on the Annuity Resource Center. And so this is an exclusive site to Western that helps you understand the process of how to discover annuities, have the confidence and compliance for annuities, and how to ultimately process the annuity in the most streamlined way and get paid while you're helping clients. But what Jim's speaking about is getting your annuity badge right here. It's a video series that I set up. Jim, I timed it. It's 88 minutes total. I mean, it's not even as long as a movie, and it's going to make you more confident and more compliant. I don't know if I can see the chat or the general questions, and I'm going to be very brave and vulnerable here because someone might disagree with me. I think that's part of life is we have different opinions, but we have had a number, because I have sent off, I think, half a dozen books to people who have completed the class, and it gives you a certificate that says you have completed this. But if you have completed it and you're on this webinar, could you give us an honest yes or no? Did it make you feel like you were more confident? Did you feel that it gave you the confidence and almost a simplistic but thorough way of understanding annuities and how to approach your clients? So if you could share some of those comments with us, I'm always looking for feedback on that. I also want to review, Jim, this is a 9-part series, so I don't want people to feel like, man, should I register for this webinar? Should I watch this webinar? Are they covering the same thing? Jim and I sat down and we went through a very specific methodology on how to get you all writing a lot of annuities. Now, when I say a lot, our goal is 1 annuity per quarter, but that's going to pick up. It starts with 1 annuity per quarter, then it becomes 1 annuity per month, and then you get on these hot streaks where you're selling 1 or 2 a week. And that's how we double your income. But I want to refresh you on what this series is. The first week we did how to double your income. And it was an overview of what we're going to be showing you and why you do it. The second week, which was last week, was an introduction to the Annuity Resource Center. I gave you a high level view of all of these tiles in the process and how that process ties together. This week, we're going to go very specifically through the financial inventory, asking the golden question, and submitting your scenarios to the Ask a Specialist. Next week is a pretty exciting one because next week, I'm going to teach you how to get a personalized version of this 7 benefits of FIA quadfold and how it ties into a public website that you can use for lead generation and to close deals and to attract clients to the FIA totally for free. It has myself and renowned retirement professional Tom Hegna. So it's a very high caliber website and resource that we're going to use. And then we're going to go week 5. I'm going to bring in Mario Barrientos, who heads up Zeti Software. They're the creators of Insurance Strip. And Mario's going to show you how to use the insurance strip. I know, Jim, you had someone that was eager and starting to load in some context, but he's going to walk you through step by step that now you have this knowledge, now that you understand the process, he's going to walk you through step by step on how to create leads for free through email and social media. And then we also have 2 letters, Jim, I've shared those with you, that you can mail out to your clients to create leads. So think about how we're piecing this together. You don't want to miss any of this because it's going to double your income, if not more. And then in the last 3 scenarios, the last 3 weeks, we're going to do actual case reviews, which I find those the most fascinating. I find those a little bit like having a puzzle, right? Jim, here's the puzzle. Everybody's a different age, a different state, a different need, a different type of money, a different spouse, a different family dynamic, a different income. And we show you how an Ask a Specialist is received and then what they return in which products they use. And then on the hind end of that, Jim, we have some very eager annuity companies like Equitrust, Athene, and F&G that want to share with you some more specifics about those products. So stick with this, all right? Being in this industry can be lonely, all right? I've done it for 20 years. And what do I mean by that? Well, you ultimately are self-employed. It's up to you to get up in the morning. It's up to you to start making your calls. It's up to you to service your clients. Sometimes we feel like we're doing it all by ourselves. You're not by yourself. Jim and the team at Western has made it a top priority to make sure that you have some support. So I highly recommend that you set aside what I call these bricks in the tub. When you're filling in your schedule, plant a brick every Thursday at this time and watch this, because you're going to garner so much information that you can use. And Jim, I've said this before, if you're going to be in this industry for a month or maybe 3 more months and you're going to be done, don't get on the webinar because you're already going to retire, whatever it is. But if you're going to make a career of this, doesn't it make sense to be able to maximize your license and use all of your license to service all of your clients' needs and to maximize the amount of income? It's a rhetorical question because obviously the answer is yes. So
yeah.
With that,
hey, Sean, really quick, you asked a question and we actually got a couple responses. Sorry for interrupting, but
no,
I really, since we asked for feedback, I wanted to not wait till the end. And folks, this was not set up, but Jamil, to your question on the annuity badge training, Jamil said the training videos were very insightful. And then Rochelle said she got her book and the videos were amazing, simple, and she already felt more confident after watching. Also made her more excited to continue here. So, you know, that's 2 people. We didn't reach out to them in advance of this webinar. Sean just threw out that question, and those are 2 real agents on these series right now on this webinar that are giving you feedback to kind of drive home the point Sean was making. So
I appreciate it, and that's why I asked it. Like I said, it's always a little bit vulnerable, but thank you for that response. And I do believe it's genuine. I've done this for a long time. And my goal, Jim, is not to just regurgitate what you could put on, what you could look up on Google. I think carriers sometimes, because there's so many legal restrictions, or they get too product focused, and they're just talking about this product versus this product versus this product, and calculating lifetime income roll-ups. My training's a little bit out of the box, and it's going to talk more about the psychology, keeping you confident and keep you compliant, and you can come out of that with really knowing what you're doing. So please, if you haven't yet, start your 88-minute annuity course. There's quizzes at the end. You answer them, you get a certificate. You send that to Jim with your address, and I'll send you a free copy of my book. The book is worth $13.95, so there you go. If I sign it, it's worth $13.95. So I don't sign it, I just send it to you straight from Amazon or Barnes and Noble or whoever can get it there fastest. But please read it. It's going to bolster your knowledge, and knowledge is king. I will deviate one last time. Jim, I am a managing partner. I've sold 3 companies to Integrity. I sit on the advisory board for the #1 FIA company in the world for Athene. I've developed 2 products for 2 A-rated companies. And the reason why is because I strive for knowledge. And I'm 48 years old. I really didn't give a crud about it until I was probably into my 30s. And I'm just sharing that because at some point I figured it out. If I know more than other people, then I have value. And where you need to know more is your clients, and their financial acumen is usually pretty low. Many of the clients that you service, they might only have 100, of 300 or $600,000 of investable assets. Sounds like a nice amount of money. Some of that wouldn't even qualify them to work with many brokers out there or financial advisors. So these are the underserved. If you can gain enough knowledge and be safe in what you're helping them do, stay in that box and be confident in it, you're going to find yourself so, Jim, really the word is thrilled that you're able to provide this service and it feels really good. The other thing is it leads to insurance sales too, to insurance policies, life insurance. And I'm going to show you that a little bit. So not to overuse the French word adieu, but without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive into this week's topic, which is giving you a very good detailed overview of how you're going to use the financial inventory and the Ask a Specialist. So I showed you that on the Western Marketing website. You click on resources, go to the Annuity Resource Center, hit continue, and we're going to talk now about the financial inventory. So we're going to hit download on that. Now, Jim, one of the things I noticed when I was doing this morning, I always prepare as best I can, is we haven't flipped a switch. We will do that today. This is actually going to be a fillable PDF. So if you want to type it in right here and then save it, you can do it. If you want to type it in and then send it, you can do it. Jim, I say I'm so old. I'd like to think 48 is still somewhat young. My kids keep me young, but I'm old school. I print it out and I write it. Okay, whatever, doesn't matter. However you want to use this financial inventory is critical. Here's why. You are a professional. You have a life insurance license. You have a health insurance license. Jim, I am coming to your house or I am getting on a Zoom call because I am the professional who is licensed at the state level to help you. And with most of your clientele, we're talking about your Medicare needs, Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage plan. That's what I'm there for. So I want to make sure I act professional. And here's what I always said. This was my preamble. It doesn't work for everyone, or it doesn't need to be with everyone, but I would pause in the very beginning and I would set the tone. And I would say, Jim, I'm going to use you as my client. Let's say Jim is 65 or 64 and he's getting ready to pick his Medicare supplement plan. I would say, Jim, before I start, I'm going to let you know, this is what I'm licensed to do with the state of Idaho or Arizona, or wherever you might be. And as an agent, my job is to gather information that's pertinent to understanding some things. And I want to make sure that I can find out what you're eligible for. Okay, so I'm going to ask you for very honest answers, and they're very confidential. Second, I'm going to make sure that what we choose fits your budget, right? Because in the first situation, it wouldn't make sense for me to show you something that you're not eligible for. Would you agree, Jim? Like I was going to show you a life insurance policy and then say, by the way, you're not eligible for it. Wouldn't you be a bit confused, even perturbed as an agent or as a client? Absolutely. So I
Absolutely.
explained to
Yep.
them, I want to find something that you're eligible for. Step one. Step two, I want to make sure it fits your budget. Because it would also be insanity if I said, well, Jim, I've got the perfect plan. It's $586 a month. And that's not in your budget. So would you agree that finding something in your budget makes sense? Step one, step two, yes. And then step three, I am the field underwriter, okay? I want to make sure that the home underwriter at the insurance company, this is kind of a checks and balances, I want to make sure that they agree with my findings. So everything that I document is for a very purposeful reason, and it is confidential, and it will be set secure and encrypted over to the carrier. And if they agree, and we found out what you're eligible for, what you can afford, and they agree with us, then we're off and running. So I show them this screen which says confidential needs analysis. Confidential is a key word there. It's confidential. I'm going to be a professional, and I'm not going to go ahead and start, sharing this with my brother, my sister, or the guy running the deli down the street, right? I'm going to put in my agent name, the date of the interview, and one of the things I recommend is take your time. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. And also, Jim, this is the key thing for people who are new to this financial inventory or people who are new in general. If you have not gone through this and filled it out on yourself, right? Filled out some dummy data, I don't care what it is, the social security number could be all ones or zeros. If you have not done that, please do that. I remember the first life insurance application I ever took about 20 years ago. The person said yes to the quote. And then I pulled up the application and I wet my pants because I couldn't pronounce 40% of the medications and ailments that they were asking. I stumbled through that. I was sweating bullets. I was almost hoping that the client said, you know what, let's not do this, because I hadn't done the simple process of reviewing the document that I was hoping that they would fill out. So just a little guide, make sure you fill this out. This is very, very generic information. Now, we're going to ask them some very personal things. Their name, that's obvious. Date of birth, not too personal. Height, weight, okay, we're getting a little more personal. Social security number, driver's license, right? This is very, very personal information. But Jim, if you are a financial professional, if you're a licensed life and health agent, let me ask you sincerely, would you feel awkward asking these questions?
No, not at all.
Absolutely not, because that's why you're there. And they don't feel awkward because they understand this all pertains to that step one. I got to find out what you're eligible for before I show you anything. Now we're going to get even more personal. You want to talk about personal? Let's talk about medical, right? Okay, what kind of medical plan do you currently have? What are you enrolled in? What's the premium? What do you dislike about the plan? We're going to ask about extended care. Okay, do you have anything? What do you currently have to cover home care and long-term care? And Jim, what do we usually get on this? We don't have anything. Statistically, it's 5% is the rough number that I see from longtermcare.gov. Only 5% of people have any sort of long-term care coverage. So you're going to have a lot of people open their eyes to this and saying, yeah, I'm a bit exposed. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this section. Now, this section here is the life insurance section. And we added it in to coincide with my training and coincide with the system that Western Marketing has set up. And I'm going to run through it real quick, and then I'm going to contrast it with what people used to do. But what we're doing is we're essentially asking that golden question that I teach about. And it's golden because whether the answer is yes or no, you just bifurcated this lead and you have an extra opportunity to help them and to make a sale. So I'm going to ask, okay, Jim, do you have any personal life insurance? Now, when I say personal, Jim, I mean term or whole life, not corporate owned life insurance, because it's never enough and it's not portable. It's not going to be there when you need it. So Jim, do you have any life insurance, term or whole life?
I do.
You do. Okay, great. And then the amount of coverage, I'm going to jot it down. Let's say he has 100,000. Now, very key thing, I'm always going to ask term or whole life, and I'm always going to discount corporate owned life insurance. There's a very thoughtful reason. Why? One is because it's true. Unless you just die on the job, it's 3 times your salary. Okay, so if my salary was 70K, I got what, $210,000 of coverage. Is that enough? You know, maybe not, especially if I died young enough while I'm on my job. It's a very true thing that it's not portable and it's not enough. I'm talking about stuff you own. And then Jim, why did I ask term or whole life? I call it the sour lemon look. I'm looking at their face to see how they react. If I say term and they shake their head like this, they're not interested in term insurance. If I say whole life and they shake their head like this, they're not interested in whole life. You get a little bit of insight into what they're thinking, what they understand about life insurance. But most importantly, I'm finding out if they do or they don't. Now, Jim said yes, and he gave me the amount of coverage. Jim, I also happen to know about your medical history. I happen to know about your age, your income, all this stuff, right? So whether this is a part C where I have to be very restrictive in what I sell, or this is just, you know, a med sup, whatever the rules are, I'm not an authority on that. I don't have to tidal wave sale, but I just opened up another opportunity. I just opened up the opportunity to do an insurance review on the coverage that you have. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe you want a whole life, not a term, right? Or maybe you can pay less money or get more coverage. Voila, just like that. And what if Jim said no? What if Jim said, no, I don't have any life insurance? Now I have an opportunity to sell them some life insurance. But that's not the golden question. That's just a leading question, which makes sense. And Jim, that's not going to be intrusive. I'm a life insurance agent. It makes sense for me to ask that question. Now I'm going to ask the golden question. Memorize this. It's right here. Jim, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Meaning, are you self-insured? Do you have a 401k, an IRA, a Roth, maybe a big CD or an annuity or a brokerage account? And you see how all I did was read these right here? See, that's the golden question. And Jim, give me an answer on that.
I do.
You know, just rough numbers, how much is in there?
Between 401k and IRAs, about $500,000.
Okay, perfect, great. So I'm going to check those boxes. I'm going to put the amount, and then I am going to keep going down the tracks. We never stop. We never deviate from what we're there to do. We conduct the business and conclude the business that we're there to conduct. But we just asked the golden question, and it was a beautiful answer. Why? Because he said yes. So that means we just uncovered an annuity opportunity. If he said no, we just uncovered an IUL opportunity, a life insurance opportunity. Do you see why it's the golden question? Now I'm going to back up a little bit. Jim, I have reviewed maybe 100 financial inventories. Here's 2 things that are wrong with them. The first thing is some of them are like taking the SAT. They are 5, 6, 7 pages, double-sided. Oh my goodness, really? You need to ask that many questions? The answer is no. There's enough questions on the life insurance app or on the Medicare app for them to fill out once we're completing the business. Let's not be gratuitous and grind these people into a mercy situation where they just want to quit. This is 1 page, and it's 1 page for a very good reason, because that's the most efficient way to get the right answers. But here's the second thing that I've seen numerous times that is bad, is wrong. What they do is these life insurance agents and health insurance agents, and maybe some of you have a dual license and your security license, but most of you aren't. Most of integrity marketing isn't, right? But if you don't have a securities license, and all of a sudden, Jim, I go from, let's review a little bit. I go from medical expenses, social, driver's license, income, extended care, This all makes sense. I ask you about life insurance, and then I say, Jim, do you have a 401k? Do you have any investment accounts? Whoa, your hackles just went up. How are those performing? Wait a minute. I'm an insurance agent. I'm not a securities advisor. Why in the world am I asking that? You just did three things wrong. Number one, you might be going over into a gray area where you're asking questions you're not licensed to ask. Number two, the client is uncomfortable. They are not comfortable answering those questions from you. And number three, you're not comfortable. That was my biggest impediment, Jim, when I was first starting. I didn't sell an annuity for a year and a half because I felt like I wasn't adequate to start asking about their 401k. The company I worked with gave me very specific questions. Has your money gone down? Are you happy with your rate of return? Oh my God, that is so wrong for the three reasons that I say. So what we did is we invented the golden question, because I'm not talking about how's your 401k performing. I'm simply asking them, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Are you self-insured? Do you have anything like an IRA or 401k that will pass on to your loved ones probate free when you die? Voila. It's beautiful. One, I'm licensed to ask that question. Two, they're very comfortable. In fact, put a little asterisk by that because I'm going to elaborate a little bit. They're very comfortable in doing it. And three, I'm comfortable asking it. Now let's get back to that asterisk. Self-insured, and I think I've shared this with you before, but I'll share it again. People love to be self-insured. I told you I had friends that own a duplex. They got $46,000 of credit card debt. They're upside down in both their vehicles, but they rent out the other side of their duplex, and they got sex appeal. They're a real estate investor, right? You want to be self-insured. Use that word. It's like a Freudian insight, right? Are you self-insured? Well, yes, I am. I have $500,000 in my IRA. So that's how we ask it. And now we have uncovered an annuity opportunity that we don't abruptly stop what we're doing, but we come back to it at the end. Now we talk to them about some questions with their retirement. Okay, when you retired, did you qualify for Social Security? Or when you retired, do you know what your Social Security would be? Great, they put it in there. Do you have a pension? So few people have pensions right now. Just rough numbers. What are your monthly expenditures? We want to make sure. Remember rule number 2, Jim, when I sat down with you, I want to make sure that you can afford what you want to be eligible, but we want to make sure it fits your budget too. Does that make sense? So can we talk a little bit about your monthly expenditures? Absolutely. They're 100% going to communicate with you. And then who do you consult with to making a financial decision? You're going to find a lot of people say, well, a financial advisor. When's the last time you spoke to them? 6 years ago, when they transferred my 401k to an IRA. The person has changed 3 times. See, many people are those underserved, and I'm saying that again, they're on the bottom rung. They're not the platinum level. They don't have 10, 20, $30 million in investable assets and they get all the attention they want. They're the person with a $220,000 IRA that they converted from a 401k, and it is what it is. If they have any questions, they usually get the helpline, or maybe the person who is their dedicated rep who's changed 3 times will call them back after 3 days. All right, now we took about agents' notes, material used, presentations were used, and then we sign it. So Jim, that is the financial inventory. Any questions, anything that you feel I left out, or anything that I need to explain more on the beauty of how we're doing that and how we uncovered not just annuity opportunities with the golden question, but do you see how we uncovered life insurance opportunities also?
Yeah, Sean, thanks. Folks, I just think that the biggest key here is knowing that there's a reason why you're asking these questions, right? You're the professional, you're the licensed professional in this conversation, and you're asking these questions to help your client, not to help you, not only driven to add commission to your pocket. You're asking these questions to help them, to help their retirement, to help their life insurance with the IUL. So have confidence when you're going through and asking those. I know as you're learning the questions and kind of getting your flow as you're going through that financial inventory, you might stumble a little bit, but it's okay. just have confidence that you are the person that should be asking, because if you don't, nobody else is helping them. Nobody else is asking them those questions. So
That's true. Absolutely. So, like I said, you don't stop your flow and stop the business that you're there to conduct. You conclude it. Then at the end, rather than opening up a laptop, guessing which carrier it's going to be, remembering your login, trying to figure out illustrations, being late for your next appointment, you don't do any of that. Here's what you do. And I strongly recommend you use the quad fold. This makes you an instant expert on retirement and fixed index annuities. We're going to talk about that next Thursday. So stay tuned. That's our cliffhanger, right, Jim? Watch next week because we're going to go into depth on this. We have a website version and we have a printout version. Awesome stuff. Okay. So here's how I'm going to proceed. Jim, if I could role play a little bit more, Jim. Thank you. I'm going to get this all submitted, and however you wrap up a Medicare appointment, I'm somewhat ignorant about that. But Jim, before I go, you said that you were self-insured. You said you had a combined $500,000 in some accounts, an IRA and a 401k. Can I ask you one last question? And I don't have much time, but is that money protected?
what do you mean?
Exactly. And that was literally how it always is. It's usually a pause, like, is there more to that question? But I just say, is that money protected? And I kind of stare, right? Like, is it? And they pause, they go, what do you mean? Or I'm not sure. Every time, right? I mean, if you have some a-hole who you pissed off, I mean, then you already ruined the sale, right? I mean, occasionally we're not going to meld with everyone. Don't worry about it. It's a numbers game, right? Love and treat people with kindness and have a servant's heart, and people will know how you feel. But stay professional. You don't want to become their best friend. So I asked that question. He goes, what do you mean? I say, well, Jim, one of the things that we do as a company nationwide is we're one of the leading providers of retirement protection plans. Okay, which is a true statement because Western is a part of Integrity Marketing, which is the largest distributor of annuities, FIAs, you name it. And then I'm going to say, we have something called an FIA or fixed index annuity. I'm just going to leave this with you here. Take a look at this, please. And here's the great thing about it, Jim. I had people say, Sean, I'm going to buy your book. I'm going to leave it with a client, have them read it, and then it's going to sell themselves, right? Here's the problem. A lot of people don't read, and they don't read textbooks that much. As much as I like to think my book is pretty easy to read, you just created a wall. Anyone can read this in 5 minutes, but leave it with them and say, what I'd like to do is I'd like to leave you this. There's 7 reasons why you need to be considering an FIA to protect that retirement. One of them is the power of indexing. The security, it's going to go tax deferred. We're going to be able to eliminate fees. We can give you an elimination of risk in the market. We can guarantee lifetime income. We can even avoid probate. So let me give this to you, and then I'll come back next week with a personalized plan. We have a centralized team of a bunch of securities licensed people and experts who will pick the best carrier, the best product, and the best scenario for your specific situation. So Jim, can I come back next week at 11 a.m.? Does that work for you?
Yeah.
There you go. If they say no, no skin off your teeth. You can go on to the next one. But now what we do is, let's say that night or the next morning, whenever you're doing your administrative work, you're going to now come back to the Annuity Resource Center and you're going to click on the Ask a Specialist. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, it's going to ask for your information first. So my first name is Test, my last name is Test. My email is test@test.com. And my phone number is 208-660-3444. And I'm going to hit continue. Now it's going to ask for the client's name. Their name is Tester. Their date of birth is 11/11/1957. That's probably not a good date for someone who's in Medicare, but I'm bad at math. Don't hold it against me. Let's say they live in Idaho, and he said there was $500,000 in there. So that's what we put as target premium. If we have the spouse, you've got to put that in, put their date of birth, hit continue. And now it walks you through what to do. Where is this money coming from? Well, he said something about an IRA or a 401k. Check that. Maybe you know a lot, you know it's from a 403b or a TSA account, or just savings and checking. Or maybe, Jim, you don't know. Hit unknown. It doesn't matter. Is this account coming from an active employment sponsored plan? Now, this is an important question. If someone is still working there, there's a good chance they can't move it. However, you're dealing with people most of the time who are done working. Is that a fair statement, Jim? Because they're signing up for Medicare supplement plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of them, it's going to be no. If it's yes, it tells you what to do right here. But we're going to say no. Now, what is their primary goal? Now, you remember, you asked them their questions, you got an idea. Well, they want to have lifetime income to help replace their spouse when they're for their spouse when they die. Are they currently taking any money from this? You might run into someone that Jim says, "Hey, I've got $500,000, but I'm taking $5,000 every month." Okay, I would put that in there. But right now, I'm just going to hit zero. And if they're not taking any money, at what age does the client anticipate taking withdrawals? When are they going to retire? And let's say Jim's going to retire next year at 67. And I hit continue. Additional comments. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you put in anything and everything you can think of. Okay? And then you're going to get good enough where you're going to actually be able to say, do you mind if I take a picture of that 401k? And then you can securely upload it. This is all encrypted, 128-bit SSL encrypted. It's held on the cloud, it's encrypted, and you can choose the file and you can upload a statement. You don't have to. This is as you get better at this, any information that you have, share it. And then this is an acknowledgement that you are releasing their information to Integrity Marketing Group, because we might have to have a carrier look at it. We might have to have an internal team inside Western look at it, and you're an independent contractor. It also says that your information right here will not be sold or shared with any third parties for the use of leads or other marketing purposes, which is absolutely true. And then we hit submit. Jim, I don't want to hit submit because I don't want to send this as a ticket, even though it says test and test. And then what you're going to get back is within, okay, it says 48 hours. It's usually within 24. Sometimes you're getting them back within 2 or 3 hours. But you're going to get back an email. And it's going to have a narration of why they picked the certain company and the product. They're going to give you information about that product, specific to that client. They're going to give you illustrations. They're going to check to make sure you're contracted with that client. And then they're going to put their phone number and their email. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. Now, Jim, we're going to save that because we're going to start going through some actual scenarios that are being submitted. We're going to save that for another lesson. But right now, this is the golden ticket. And the one thing I want to leave you with is this. Never be afraid to ask the golden question. Ask it every single time. If someone says no, no problem. You ask the next one and the next one, the next one. It's a numbers game. You do that and you submit it to the Ask a Specialist and you don't fear failure. You just go out there, like I said, with a servant's heart. I guarantee you will write one annuity each quarter. And our average commissions on annuities, Jim, are close to $10,000. Wouldn't that be nice with the same license, the same clientele, not buying new leads, just asking a question? And by the way, Jim, how much of the commission does Western take for doing this? Kind of a trick question, right?
Yeah, it's you get your full commission, guys. We don't dip into your comp. We are very fair. Most of you worked with us for a long time, so you know we really take care of you. I've got one quick thing to add on the Ask a Specialist. Please don't put your information as test and fake stuff, because that, when it comes to me to review and for our team to do those actual illustrations and case design, we need your real contact information. Sean was doing that for illustration purposes only. For training, you can put valued client. I don't need to know your client's name if you don't want to share that. but give us your real information, because that's the only way we're able to get back with you and actually help you with the case. And as Sean said, I'll tell you folks, the Ask a Specialist requests come directly to me, and I either work them or disperse them on our team. And in almost every case, you're going to have an answer within one business day. And the beauty of this is Western Marketing, we work, normal hours. You can hit Ask a Specialist. If you meet with a client around their schedule and it's 8 o'clock at night and we're closed, you don't have to wait till the next day. You can submit that when you get home from the appointment, when you get to your car, and it'll be waiting for us when we come in the morning to work. So it's a really valuable tool, and it helps expedite stuff for you.
Absolutely. Jim, that's all I have. This was a somewhat concise, hopefully very impactful and tactical webinar. I appreciate the people that did attend and that registered, and those that might be watching it later as a recording. But can we open it up to any questions now? And I'll leave my screen shared right now, just in case people need to see it.
Sure. Yeah, folks. So we do have a question or two, but now is the time to go ahead and type if you have questions. What you want to know. Sean and I are very open book. We want to help you. So the question we've got right now is about examples of what we send via email or mail to current clients. Now, pardon me, let me open this up here and just see here.
I'll stop sharing my screen so you can
okay.
Share yours.
Sorry, folks, I'm just popping this out. So Rochelle, can you explain? Are you asking about like the illustrations that we send you when you ask a specialist, or are you asking about something else? I just want to make sure I ask answer your question the right way. I can tell you what we do when you ask a specialist is we really lean on that text box where you can type more information, because again, the more information you give us, the more accurate our recommendation is going to be to your client. So if you do that and there's not a lot of information, we may, instead of getting you back an illustration right away, we may hit you with a question or two really quick, like, hey, I just want to verify, is long-term care important to your client, or is he or she primarily worried about accumulation or lifetime income? And that's how we build the product recommendation and the illustrations. All right, sorry, I'm just reading. Okay, so it's really about, Sean, the question seems to be, and I believe I understand this, like if one of our agents, let's say it's a Medicare agent.
Yeah.
This Medicare agent wants to market annuities now with their clients. And I believe what's being asked is, what would you send them something like, do we have an option of a pre-approach letter or an email that they could e-blast out to this book of business, where they're being proactive instead of waiting to when they get to an appointment and then bringing up, maybe they want to advertise ahead of time to their current book,
yeah,
because they may have 1,000 clients. So what would you say to that? Like, what's the best way to go about that?
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks, that's the topic we're covering. We will have Mario, the president of Zeti Software Insurance Trip, show you how to set up your digital marketing booths so you can send out emails and social media posts. And then we have 2 approved letters that you can mail out to your clientele. and you will generate some interest. I promise you, especially if you have a decent sized book, if you've been doing this for a little while. So yes, the shorter answer is yes, and that's what we're covering in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you. Rochelle, if that did not answer your question, please let me know. I think I got it right. Dan was asking something that you did touch on, but just in case you missed it, Dan, Sean is having them make our financial inventory a fillable form. So you'll be able to do that very shortly, hopefully in the next less than a week. Does that sound reasonable, Sean?
Yeah, I'd say probably within the next 24 hours. And
Okay.
one other, was it Rochelle's? Next week, actually, you can generate leads off that too. And so we're starting to shift to how do we create business. And I'm going to show you how the Quadfold works. And then I'm going to introduce you to a digital version of the Quadfold that you can send to clients that has interactive videos, myself and Tom Hegna speaking to your clients about the 7 benefits of FIAs. So you could do a mass email and say, hey, we now support these, right? I can give you a bunch of different word tracks for it. Watch this video, get back to me. We need to protect your retirement, and you'll drum up some business with that. So really the next 2 weeks are going to be covering how to generate leads.
Yeah, and for those of you who, Sean's brought up Tom Hegna a few times. For those of you who aren't in the annuity business as your day-to-day market for insurance, Tom is industry renowned guru. If you talk to annuity agents and you say, I attended or I watched a video of Tom Hegna's, or I read something that they're going to know who you're talking about. He's a plethora of information and sort of like a foundation of knowledge for this side of the business. So I know you've met Sean. Sean, I feel similar about as far as his knowledge and his ability. But so that's information from 2 people above and beyond what you get from myself and our team here at Western Marketing that are really helping grow your knowledge and your business. So Sean, it looks like, folks, I'll give you another 30 seconds or so in case anybody does have any last questions. While we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to all of you who, again, are on this webinar. It's not lost on me that you're, you aren't putting food on your table, but hopefully what we're doing is we're giving you, it's the old adage, instead of giving a man a fish, you teach a man to fish, right? And sorry, ladies, same thing. But that's what we're trying to do, is teach you how to fish. So, instead of making $250 or $400 on a health sale or a Medicare sale, maybe once a quarter, you make 5 or 10,000 or 12,000 on an annuity sale. And at the end of the day, that will pay dividends for you, for your business, for your family, and really your bank account. And I don't work for free, and I don't expect you to either. So it does not look like we have any other questions. So folks, thank you very much. Sean, as always, my friend, thank you very much for everything, your partnership, your training, your friendship. And like Sean said, put a brick on your calendar. We've got 6 more weeks left of this series, and we're building. As you know, if you've been on this at least one or both other times, we go back to what we've talked about, and then we build on it. And that's what you're going to continue to see. So it grows that confidence. If you missed any or you missed something in the future, don't stress. We can get it out to you in a recorded video. Every one of these is recorded. So with that, thank you all sincerely for spending the time, and make it a great day. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.